All right, so I think it's time for me. You know, I've held off on this for a couple weeks, but I think it's time to give proper attention to the Bloodline and this epic storyline that has taken place over the last couple weeks. I've held off on just definitively screaming out, this is the greatest story in professional wrestling, but let's be honest. This is the greatest story in the history of professional wrestling. I think we have to take a couple minutes to really just soak in what has happened. Everything that has happened for the last 2 years and everything that has happened since the Tribal Chief hit 1,000 days as Universal Undisputed WWE Champion. You could go back and look at the tape, right? This isn't a sudden breakup. This isn't a story that just happened this year. This is 2.5, 3 years in the making. We've been, I remember a year ago calling for the Bloodline to break up, and somehow they kept it going for another year. And the weird part of all of that is the IWC is even starting to come around to this idea that Roman Reigns may be the real deal. Now, they're not willing to completely concede that he's the GOAT, but I'm seeing more and more of the typical IWC fan who used to roll their eyes at Roman Reigns. More and more people are starting to acknowledge the Tribal Chief. You still have the dipshits who want to, he cheats to win. Yeah, he's a bad guy. That's what he's supposed to do. But if you're a fan of professional wrestling, if you're a fan of storytelling, there is zero way that you can deny that this is the most purest form of storytelling ever from WWE. From Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, they have all told this story absolutely beautifully. But here's my fear. This is the fear I have. After 2 years, 2.5 years, 3 years of impeccable storytelling, there's a little part of me that looks at this and feels like Triple H has hit the fast forward button. And now we're going to speed through the last chapter. We're so excited for the grand finale that we're going to try to get to it as fast as possible and wrap up this pretty little story, put it in a pretty little box with a pretty little bow so that we can, put this in the archives as the greatest story of all time. It was just a week ago. It was just a week ago that Jey Uso joined Jimmy and turned on the Bloodline. So now 1 week, fast forward 1 week ahead, and we're already getting a civil war match between the Usos and Roman Reigns. My issue here is that coming out of this match, there was and still is an opportunity to make Jey Uso the biggest babyface in all of professional wrestling history. But I think that this story needs more time to simmer. I think they need to give Jey Uso more time to build up this babyface character before jumping and throwing him straight back into the ring with Roman Reigns. There is a possibility. Let me make this clear. There is a possibility that Roman Reigns can come out of this entire situation looking like a sympathetic character. Because at every turn, Roman Reigns has been a dick. Roman Reigns has been an egotistical tribal chief. But at every turn in Roman Reigns' career, it's been a sidekick who turns their back on Roman Reigns. He is the one who always ends up getting stabbed in the back. So I think they needed to take more time to let this simmer. I think the better play here would have been to have Roman Reigns continue his dominance, minus the Usos. Let the Bloodline continue with Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, Roman Reigns, and possibly even move the Usos over to Monday Night Raw per request of Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. Have Jey Uso go on some kind of major winning streak. Have him, the next 3 or 4 premium live events, have him win. Have them recollide somewhere down the line like Survivor Series, leading to, Team Jey Uso versus Team Roman Reigns, which then kind of spearheads Jey Uso into the Royal Rumble, where I think that's not a bad idea. Jey Uso wins the Royal Rumble and challenges Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40 for the undisputed title. Now, I get it. I quite possibly could be overreacting to all of this. There's still a lot of story that can be told. And there's still a lot of new characters that can enter into this story. There's still a lot of Bloodline members that aren't a part of this that could be introduced into this story. And WWE can still get to WrestleMania 40 with Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns. But I've even heard the rumblings that before Jey Uso gets to Roman Reigns, we might possibly get Solo Sikoa versus Roman Reigns, which I'm okay with that too. That all works. But I'm more convinced now than I've ever been that Jey Uso has to be the person to take out the tribal chief. That's just the only way this story ends. I'll be honest, right? There were days that I wanted The Rock to return, and I wanted The Rock to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns. And there were days that I thought Cody Rhodes would have been the proper choice to dethrone Roman Reigns. But there's only one place and one person that this story can end with, right? It has to be at WrestleMania 40, and it has to be Jey Uso going over Roman Reigns. And all I know is that after investing 2.5 years into this story and how this story has just been so beautifully presented to us, WWE, please don't fuck this bloodline story up. Please don't Game of Thrones this shit. Please don't rush through the final chapter of the bloodline. Give us a proper ending. Let us get our Iron Throne moment that we missed out on in Game of Thrones. Give us the proper ending to this. Give us WrestleMania 40, Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns, and let that last optic of WrestleMania 40 be Jey Uso holding up the undisputed WWE title. You guys let me know, who do you want to dethrone Roman Reigns? And do you think that this bloodline story has sped up to the point where it may be moving just a little bit too fast? Let me know in the comments section.